Let us begin with Introduction to Literature. This is a very important topic in literature in English. It appears in your exams every single year. By the end of this lesson, you will understand the meaning of literature, the functions of literature, the genres of literature, and how to answer exam questions. Take your notes. Let us go. First, what is literature? Literature is a body of written works that express ideas, emotions, and experiences through language. Literature includes works of fiction, poetry, and drama. Literature can also be oral, such as folktales, legends, and epics, passed down from generation to generation. The word literature comes from the Latin word littera, which means letter. Literature is art. It uses language creatively. It is different from other forms of writing like journalism or technical writing. Journalism reports facts. Technical writing gives instructions. Literature aims to entertain, educate, and provoke thought. It uses imagery, symbolism, and figurative language to create meaning. Literature can be realistic or imaginative. It can be based on real events or completely invented. The beauty of literature is that it can take us to places we have never been. It can introduce us to people we have never met. It can make us feel emotions we have never felt. This is the power of literature. Now, let me explain the functions of literature. Literature serves several important functions. The first function is entertainment. Literature provides pleasure and enjoyment. A good novel, poem, or play can transport us to another world. It can make us laugh, cry, or feel afraid. When you read an exciting story, you forget your troubles. You become absorbed in the world of the book. This is entertainment. The second function is education. Literature teaches us about life, history, and human nature. We learn about different cultures, different times, and different people. Literature expands our knowledge. For example, reading Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart teaches us about Igbo culture before colonialism. Reading George Orwell's Animal Farm teaches us about the dangers of dictatorship. Literature is a source of knowledge. The third function is moral instruction. Literature often teaches lessons about right and wrong. It shows the consequences of good and bad actions. It can inspire us to be better people. Fables and parables are specifically designed to teach moral lessons. But even novels and plays can have moral messages. When a character suffers because of their greed or pride, the reader learns that these traits are harmful. This is moral instruction. The fourth function is social commentary. Literature comments on society. It exposes injustice, inequality, and hypocrisy. It can also celebrate social progress. Many writers use literature to criticize their societies. Charles Dickens wrote about the suffering of the poor in Victorian England. George Orwell wrote about totalitarianism. Wole Soyinka writes about corruption and injustice in Nigeria. Literature can be a powerful tool for social change. The fifth function is preservation of culture. Literature preserves the language, traditions, and values of a people. Stories are passed down from generation to generation. They keep culture alive. Oral literature, like folktales and epics, preserve the history and beliefs of a community. Written literature also preserves culture. When we read the works of Shakespeare, we learn about Elizabethan England. When we read the works of Chinua Achebe, we learn about Igbo culture. Literature is a record of human experience. The sixth function is self-expression. Writers express their thoughts, feelings, and experiences through literature. Readers can also find their own feelings expressed in literature. When you read a poem that describes exactly how you feel understood. This is the power of self-expression. The seventh function is language development. Literature enriches language. It introduces new words, new expressions, and new ways of saying things. Reading literature improves vocabulary and writing skills. The more you read, the better you write. Literature also helps with critical thinking. You learn to analyze, interpret, and evaluate. These skills are useful in all areas of life. Now, let me explain the genres of literature. Literature is divided into three major genres: prose, poetry, and drama. Each genre has its own features and conventions. Understanding the genres helps you know what to expect when you read. It also helps you analyze literary works correctly. Let me start with prose. Prose is written in ordinary language. It has sentences and paragraphs. It does not have a regular rhythm or rhyme. Prose is the most common form of writing. It includes novels, short stories, novellas, and essays. Prose can be fiction or non-fiction. Fiction is invented by the writer. It comes from the imagination. Non-fiction is based on facts. It reports real events. Examples of prose fiction include novels like Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, Chimamanda Adichie's Purple Hibiscus, and George Orwell's Animal Farm. Short stories are also prose fiction. They are shorter than novels. Examples include the stories of Edgar Allan Poe and S.R. Afolabi. Examples of prose non-fiction include biographies, which are stories of people's lives, autobiographies, which are written by the person themselves, essays, which are short pieces on a single topic, and speeches. Prose is the genre you encounter most often in daily life. Newspapers, textbooks, letters, and emails are all prose. Now let me explain poetry. Poetry is written in verse. It often has a regular rhythm. It may have rhyme. Poetry uses language in condensed and powerful ways. Poems are usually shorter than novels. They use imagery, metaphor, and other figures of speech. Poetry expresses emotions and ideas intensely. It is often more focused on sound and rhythm than prose. Poetry can be divided into stanzas. Stanzas are groups of lines. A stanza is like a paragraph in prose. The line is the basic unit of poetry. Poets choose where to break lines. This affects the rhythm and meaning of the poem. Poetry can rhyme or not. Rhyme is when words have the same ending sound. For example, cat and hat rhyme. Not all poems rhyme. Many modern poems do not use rhyme. They are called free verse. Types of poetry include lyric, narrative, and dramatic. Lyric poetry expresses personal emotions and feelings. It is usually short and musical. Sonnets, odes, and elegies are types of lyric poetry. Narrative poetry tells a story. It has a plot and characters. Epics and ballads are narrative poems. An epic is a long narrative poem about a hero. The Odyssey is an epic. A ballad is a shorter narrative poem that was originally meant to be sung. Dramatic poetry is written in the form of a play. The characters speak, but the work is still a poem. Robert Browning's dramatic monologues are examples. Poetry is the most concentrated form of literature. Every word counts. Poets choose each word carefully for its sound, meaning, and association. Now, let me explain drama. Drama is written to be performed. It consists of dialogue and stage directions. Drama is meant to be acted on a stage. Characters speak to each other. The playwright writes the script. Actors bring the words to life. Drama includes tragedies, comedies, and other types. The ancient Greek playwrights like Sophocles and Aristophanes wrote famous dramas. In Nigeria, Wole Soyinka, the Nobel Prize winner, is a famous playwright. Other Nigerian playwrights include Ola Rotimi, Femi Osofisan, and Zulu Sofola. Drama has acts and scenes. An act is a major division of a play. A scene is a smaller division within an act. The audience watches the action unfold. Drama is unique because it is both literature and performance. The same play can be read as a text and watched as a performance. Reading a play is different from watching it. When you read, you imagine the action. When you watch, you see it. Both experiences are valuable. The elements of drama include plot, character, dialogue, spectacle, and music. Plot is the sequence of events. Character is the people in the play. Dialogue is the words the characters speak. Spectacle is the visual elements like scenery, costumes, and lighting. Music includes songs and background music. Types of drama include tragedy, which ends in disaster for the main character. Comedy, which ends happily and makes us laugh. Tragicomedy, which mixes tragedy and comedy. Farce, which is exaggerated comedy. And melodrama, which is exaggerated emotion. Now let me compare prose, poetry, and drama. Prose is written in sentences and paragraphs. Poetry is written in lines and stanzas. Drama is written in dialogue and stage directions. Prose is meant to be read silently or aloud. Poetry is meant to be read aloud to appreciate its sound. Drama is meant to be performed on a stage. Prose uses ordinary, everyday language. Poetry uses condensed, figurative, and musical language. Drama uses dialogue that sounds like real speech but is carefully crafted. Prose can be very long, like a novel of hundreds of pages. Poetry is usually short, though epics can be long. Drama is medium length, usually 2 to 3 hours in performance. Prose is the most accessible. Poetry requires more attention and interpretation. Drama requires visualization or viewing. Each genre has its own strengths. A good reader of literature should be comfortable with all three. A common exam question asks you to define literature and state its functions. Here is a sample answer. Literature is a body of written works that express ideas, emotions, and experiences through language. The functions of literature include entertainment, education, moral instruction, social commentary, preservation of culture, self-expression, and language development. Literature enriches our lives in many ways. It entertains us, teaches us, and helps us understand ourselves and others. Another exam question asks you to list and explain the genres of literature. Here is your answer. The three major genres of literature are prose, poetry, and drama. Prose is written in ordinary language, using sentences and paragraphs. Examples include novels and short stories. Poetry is written in verse with rhythm and often rhyme. It uses condensed and figurative language. Examples include sonnets, odes, and epics. Drama is written to be performed. It consists of dialogue and stage directions. Examples include tragedies and comedies. Each genre has its own features and conventions. Another exam question asks you to distinguish between prose, poetry, and drama. Here is your answer. Prose is written in sentences and paragraphs. It uses ordinary language. Poetry is written in lines and stanzas. It uses rhythm, rhyme, and figurative language. Drama is written in dialogue and stage directions. It is meant to be performed. Prose is the most common form of writing. Poetry is the most concentrated. Drama is the most visual. Understanding the differences helps you read and analyze each genre correctly. Here is what you need to take away. Literature is written works that express ideas and emotions. Its functions include entertainment, education, social commentary, preservation of culture, self-expression, and language development. The three genres are prose, poetry, and drama. Prose uses ordinary language and sentences. Poetry uses verse, rhythm, and often rhyme. Drama is meant to be performed on stage. Understanding these basics is essential for studying literature. Practice these concepts. When you have them down, move to topic 2.